Well, hello. Welcome everyone to Positive Women's Network USA Policy Fellowship. And this is webinar 12, Conducting Effective Meetings. Next slide, please. Okay. All right, wait a minute. I can make that happen. Hold on. Give me a second. I don't see my next slide. Hold on. It's us, y'all. It's us, so we're going to get it done without a doubt. Okay. 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 I am actually looking for, check it out. I told you. All right. We are the only national membership body. I got to move this out my way. I'm sorry, y'all. I got too much stuff on my screen. Okay, there we go. We are the only national membership body created by and for cisgender and transgender women, gender diverse people, and transgender people living with HIV. Since 2008, our members have created a unified voice to build collective power for women, gender diverse, and trans people living with HIV. We believe that racial and gender justice cannot be divested from the HIV response and ground our work in collective liberation. PWN is creating a world where all women, gender diverse, and trans people living with HIV can live long, healthy, and dignified lives free from stigma, discrimination, and criminalization. Next slide. Okay. Right. Because I can just go, I got it here in front of me, but I don't see the next slide. Okay. Okay. Well, let me go. I can go on.
It does seem that the slide hasn't advanced. Do you need any support? There it is.
All right. Check us out. Don't give up on us. Just hold on. These are the objectives. The objectives are we are going to learn how to prepare for, hold, and follow up on meetings. Learn how to articulate a clear policy demand and learn about the importance of MIPA in meetings. Next slide. Agenda, welcome and introductions. We are doing that. Then we will have our presentation, which will be followed by questions and answers, a call to action, and we will close. I just want to add, next slide. While we go into the next slide, I want y'all to know this is going to be an amazing meeting because I'm going to allow the presenters to introduce themselves. Of course, you can see the names right there. That is Drew and Drew Gibson and Angela Hawkins. And without further ado, I'd like to let them tell you a little bit about who they are and what they do. And let's go with Angela first. Just because that's beauty before age.
I don't know about that age thing. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I just fed in the house and I couldn't get my laptop to come up, so I'm on my cell phone. Hello, everybody. My name, of course, is Angela F. Hawkins. I am from Houston, Texas, one of the founding members of Texas Strike Force, as well as Positive Women's Network Greater Houston area chapter. I have been doing policy work. We accidentally fell into it. We wanted to do voter engagement, and it grew from there. And I'm one of the inaugural policy fellows. I was in the first class. So glad to see all of you. So glad to be here with you.
Okay, Drew.
Thank you, Meta. Drew Gibson, he, him pronouns, Director of Advocacy at AIDS United. I have been at AU since 2016 and have the pleasure of working with PWN and its members that entire time. So I'm really excited to talk to y'all about some of the basics and ins and outs of having an effective Hill meeting and hoping to learn from y'all as well, because I'm sure you have plenty of great experience both at the federal level and state and local meetings too.
Thank you both so much. Let me get the next slide, please. All right, let's get started. Now, this webinar may or may not be a little different. However, we're going to jump right in. I am going to ask a question, and each of our presenters, I believe our first presenter that's going to answer this question is going to be Angela. If not, then, I stand corrected. All right. So, presenters, tell us about you. What's a memorable lobby day or meeting with lawmakers that you've had?
So usually I can have cheat sheets blown up to 5,000. So yeah, I'll just go off of memory. One of my memorable moments was for our state advocacy day. I think our ledge sessions are biannually, every other year in the odd number year. And I think on the 88th one, our HIV advocacy day, we had our team scheduled to go and speak to their legislators, and something went wrong. I don't remember what, but the team that was supposed to go see Representative Tony Rose was not able to get there, or they were running late, and she kept sending messages back to us in the little meeting room. We were all there. Where are you? I thought y'all were coming. Where's Texas Strike Force? And so we cobbled together a group of people and we went. And when we got there in our little HIV advocacy day t-shirts, which is on one of the next slides because I cannot see what's going on, she looked at us and was like, "Where's my t-shirt?" and, and we were like, "We'll get you one." She was like, "Okay, all right." And we started telling her about the bills that we were supporting, and she was like, "Yeah, preaching to the choir, because I co-authored that bill. I know about that bill." That is so we sent somebody back to the room where the t-shirts were, and she took a picture with all of us. We were laughing, talking, just like regular people. She was just regular. She wasn't Representative Rose. She was, homegirl Tony.
Yeah.
Which taught me, I used to think that certain people could go and speak with representatives. You had to be a lawyer, you had to be a legislator. You finding out that just regular people can go and talk with her. And she became our legislative champion. After that, almost anytime we would call on her, if we were trying to have an advocacy day and her schedule will allow it, she would come and speak with us. And so that's my most memorable moment. I came away with the thought that the uh your personal stories, that just having that connection, that's key, and that can help build your relationships.
Thank you so much, Angela. Drew, that was amazing. I bet that was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my first AIDS Watch event back in 2017 was really my first time being on Capitol Hill in that capacity. And when I was going out with my delegation from Ohio, and we were going from the House side to the Senate side, heard these voices yelling sort of off in the distance. And we look up, and some of the congressional offices have balconies. And we look up and see then our senior vice president, Ronald Johnson, now the caucus, along with, I think it was Daniel Griffin, and I think one of Liz Taylor's grandchildren. on the balcony with John Lewis. And it was just such an amazing visual. And I think just the people that you meet on these Hill days. There's the photo. It's a little grainy because the photo I took was on a really crappy old phone camera. But sometimes it's great to meet with members and with staff as well. But occasionally you get to meet someone like a John Lewis, and it's still with me.
Thank you so much. Thank y'all so much for sharing those experiences with us. Next slide, please. Because there is another question. Okay. Now listen, before the meeting, wait a minute, I got something in my way. What are the top 3 things you recommend advocates to do to prepare for a meeting? And either one of you can take that initially. Here we go.
I think that's your slide, Angela.
That's me.
I think
so. You have to know your lawmakers, know what their priorities are. Basically, do your homework. Make sure you have a clear ask, maybe 2 or 3 talking points, and personal stories are really, really key because these legislators, they know numbers, they know bottom line, they don't know the person behind that number. And so our job is to put a face to that number. And it's good to, before you go into your meeting, assign roles and tasks on your team. Some people are better. Me, I want to go where Stephen Vargas is because I know if I'm in the room with Stephen, he got us. I just have to sit and look cute and be supportive. But making sure you've got all those people in place and in line for whatever you're going to say. If you've got some experts on that can share a personal story, let that person be one of the leads on that. And Drew, I'll let you go.
For sure. And I think a lot of what Angela and I have put down is fairly similar because I think there is a recipe for this. Just to build off what she had shared, one thing that I would encourage folks to do when doing this prep work is thinking about how receptive a given congressional office will be to you and your issues. It doesn't mean that if you're going to a meeting with a more conservative Republican office that you need to necessarily gird yourself for someone that's going to be hostile or combative, but it certainly helps to know what types of things they might be looking for and which types of arguments you might be more receptive to. So if you're in a GOP office with a Republican member, maybe you spend more time working with your colleagues on something related to cost effectiveness or financial savings related to HIV prevention and treatment. Or, if you know that someone has a strong faith connection, you lean on your members who do have a connection with the church or with a synagogue or a mosque or something that can establish that connection. Because when you find that one area of common ground, that's often where you can build a relationship, even with offices that might on the surface feel like they wouldn't be receptive to your issues. But particularly in southern states and parts of the mid and mountain west, we need to look for all of potential inroads with these members because a lot of them have things that we wouldn't necessarily expect before going into the meeting that would be areas of commonality. But if you search hard enough, you can find them. The other thing I would say is around knowing your strengths. I know, and Angela mentioned, we're looking forward to going to the meeting with Stephen because he would have things he could have on lockdown. I think all of us have things that we are strong in projecting and things that we feel like maybe we need some work on. And I think we can do both of those in a meeting, but it's good to know going in, like, this person's good with numbers. This person knows all of the incidence and prevalence rates. This person knows everything about the legislation. They're an HIV criminalization and modernization mastermind. They got all that stuff on lockdown. I have a powerful personal story that I feel comfortable or able to share with this office without it being too emotionally draining. So just beforehand thinking, what's the way I can be most effective in this meeting and also come out on the other side feeling like it wasn't totally draining.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you both so much for that. Now we're going to talk about before the meeting. Policy is personal, and our communities are under attack. I don't need to enforce that anymore. How do you prepare emotionally for tough meetings? Drew, whose slide is up next? Is that you, Drew?
That is me.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the harder things to answer because a lot of this is personal and internal work. A lot of us have different capacities for holding these feelings. A lot of us have different personal experiences and backgrounds that might make it harder to share about one's past or to engage with offices that are openly hostile to some of our communities. And figuring out for yourself and with your other colleagues before you go into the meeting what you're willing to do and what your tolerance level is for pushback or any sort of interaction with an office that would raise your cortisol levels and make you feel uncomfortable. It's the biggest thing, and often you don't know it until you've been in the meetings. But really be honest with yourself about what you can and cannot handle, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. And really the last thing that we all need is for someone to go into these meetings feeling like they are compelled to share the most tender, potentially harmful memory or story from their past in an attempt to get a lawmaker on their side. And then at the end of the meeting or the lobby day, you're absolutely exhausted, you feel drained, and you don't want to go back and do it again. The biggest thing is figuring out that sweet spot where you can share stories or information that does reach members, but you're not you're not exhausting yourself while doing it. And so really setting those boundaries ahead of time. And if you're on the Hill with someone who's experienced, being in contact with them beforehand and letting them know what you think your red lines are, and having them know that if say the worst case scenario happens, you have a plan for if say you're in a meeting and you're transgender or gender nonconforming and you're worried about being misgendered, right? If you go into that meeting with your folks and saying, look, if this happens, I'm going to need to leave, and the folks on your team need to be with you and knowing that's not acceptable behavior from that staff, we will leave with you. It doesn't change the hurt, and it doesn't mean necessarily that person's going to want to go back and do more meetings, but hopefully that pre-planning allows them to feel a little more safe going into those circumstances, and everyone's on the same page. And so I would just think that open communication beforehand and introspection is really important.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to interject something before Angela starts. Suppose an advocate doesn't know what that boundary is until they actually get there.
So if the advocate doesn't know, especially if you're totally new, right, just letting an experienced member of the team know that can be extremely helpful.
Okay.
And especially in the current political environment, I think caution is key. So if you're new and you feel vulnerable and you see a meeting from the outset where you've done your homework and you know this representative, this senator has voted against my interests, against my personal rights, and I don't feel totally comfortable going and seeing them, then we acknowledge and address that up front and say, maybe it's not a good idea for you to go to this as one of your first meetings.
Okay.
And we start you off with either friendlier offices or offices that don't have as many alarm bells getting set off when you
Thank
see
you
them
so
on
much for sharing that. Next slide.
And I did want to just quickly ask are we taking questions as we go through or at the end?
At the end. And I'll make sure that there's enough time to ask questions. These questions were just the way we wanted to present this initially, because we think it stirs up more folks to ask questions. So please, if y'all gonna have questions, write them down, folks, write them down. Okay, so the next one, here we go. Angela.
And since I was late to the party, did we do the poll where we were asking who has done Hill visits or gone to some legislative visits in the past and who hasn't? Did I miss that?
I don't think we did that.
We did not, but I can launch it perhaps after this question.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks, Kelly.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Well, for preparing for a tough meeting, I know for me, and I can only speak for me, so deal or not, I try to remind myself who I'm there for. Am I there for my community, for our stories, for the people who cannot be in the room? I consider I'm standing in the gap for a certain person or a certain group because I've gotten the ability to go and do what they couldn't. Maybe they were working, maybe they were sick, maybe they didn't know they could do it. And so I'm trying to figure out and remember who I am there for. And then from that, I also try to center and regulate my emotions and make sure I take a few minutes to breathe. Me, I'm a religious person, so I'm always depending on my higher power to give me the right things to say if I haven't had the opportunity to write it all out or at least write down some tidbits or just some checkpoints to be able to follow and just try to find a quiet place because for those who have not gone, when you're going to go speak to a legislator, most of the time you get the staffer and it's rush, rush, rush. They're like herding you in to this room and it can be daunting. So you do need that time to kind of sit for a minute before you do what you're going to do and just ground yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Next slide. All right. This is a good one. How do you balance talking and listening during a meeting? In other words, how much should you speak versus listening to a staffer? And that next slide belongs to, looks like Drew.
I think I'm the next slide.
Okay. Angela.
Oh, that's me. Well, remember, advocacy is a conversation. It's not necessarily a speech. And our power is in sharing our truth. You need to aim for like that 60-40 balance. Listen, more than you talk, unless you're in the room with the staffer and they're listening to you share who you are, why you're there, and all of that. But if it's in a give and take opportunity, you want to be able to hear what the person is saying before you just kind of overrun everything. Learn what actually matters to the staffer and their boss. We should have already done our homework by the time we're in that room with them. So, but sometimes we don't have that opportunity, or sometimes the staffer we thought we were going to talk to, we don't get them. So just kind of listen to what they are saying and pick up some cues from that. And of course, you can adjust your message so it lands the right way. And that also shows respect. I know for us years ago, we had a talk with one of the representatives. I don't know who it was, but Ebony and I did the conversation. It was a phone conversation, and we had our little points and talking points and all the stuff all lined out on what we were going to say. And the person, the staffer we were talking to, connected with us to share that their brother or sister or someone was a person of lived experience, and they had seen their battles and seen their journey, so they understood what we were talking about. Again, one of those you're preaching to the choir kind of thing. So it made it even easier. That person volunteered to kind of stay in contact and let us know what was going on down the line. If a harmful bill came up, he would call and be like, "Hey, you know this is going on," and that was all from that initial conversation and him sharing with us. What
Thank you.
does Is that question for me? What does homework entail? Doing your homework?
Well,
Two
since
things.
since it's out there, yes, let's do this.
Two things. If you are going to go speak to a representative, you need to do your homework so that you know who it is you're talking to. You want to find out as much as you can about that person, if you can, before you get in the room. If homework after the visit, if you were talking to that person and during the course of the conversation they asked you a question, they asked you about something that maybe you didn't have the answer to right then and there. Homework looks like going home really quick, trying to get in touch with your people to find out, hey, this person asked this, and this. I got to answer them. What do I say? What can I say? Or send some information. So homework can be two ways. Did I
Thank
answer the
you.
question? Drew, what's your take on that?
I think love your answer, Angela. I think, homework it can be graded on a scale based on how comfortable you are. Uh, you know, doing these meetings. If you're a first time advocate, I think, the biggest thing is checking in with your peers to make sure that they have a good sense of what's happening and you can try and soak in as much as possible. But if you've been to a home meeting or two before, just doing some research online to see what the members' positions are on things that matter to you. It could be as simple as, if you're meeting an office, just typing in the representative or senator's name and putting HIV at the end and seeing if anything pops up saying they've had a statement about something related to HIV. Or maybe you know of a bill that you really care about, looking to see how they voted on it or if they've sponsored the bill. Those sorts of things can help determine how you approach a meeting, and hopefully shouldn't be too time or labor intensive. But also you can lean on other advocates. So if you're going to a meeting in Congress and you know that someone's going to be there from a national organization, or you're going with someone who's, experienced, like, I see Barb on the call, I see Susan, Marnina, Kelly, folks who have done this a fair bit. Maybe just going up to them and asking, like, hey, do you know Rep so-and-so? Are they good on our issues? And a lot of times they'll be able to say, yeah, no, that person's wonderful. I've met with their office before. They're really receptive. Or that person is a wretched human being, and we only meet with them if we absolutely have to, but here's what to look out for. So don't always go into it thinking you have to do all of the research yourself. It can really help to just talk to folks in your network to just see if they have any takes. But I think Angela was spot on in her analysis of the balance. The one thing I would raise is figuring out how much a staffer knows about HIV and issues related to people living with and affected by HIV. Because one of the very poorly kept secrets in Washington, D.C., at least, is that the town is run by 24-year-olds. You're going to meet with a staffer most of the time, and there's a good chance that person is either fresh out of undergrad or they've been on the Hill for a year or two or three, and they were born potentially after the advent of antiretroviral therapies. They were born at a time when HIV wasn't as prevalent in the public consciousness. They may not know who Ryan White is. They may not be familiar with the idea of PrEP or U equals U. And so just at the start of a meeting, trying to figure out with a staffer, like, hey, how familiar are you with HIV? Do you know what the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program is? Do you know what PrEP is? Do you know what U equals U is? Can give you a sense of what's the best way to start off that meeting. If they know their stuff, you can get more in depth into terms of specific policies and funding streams and things like that. But a lot of times you're just going in there trying to establish a baseline with a staffer and let them know, hey, this is sort of why our issue should be important to you and your boss. And in that case, you're probably going to be doing a lot of the talking in that meeting. And it's up to you and the folks you're in the office with to determine who's best situated to talk about what. But there will be other meetings where you're with someone with an office maybe that you've seen a couple times, that's been around the block a few times, and you're mainly listening. You're asking, what are you hearing related to this funding bill? Or, asking them about generating support for the Congressional HIV Caucus, or some response to the latest horrible thing the administration has done. So it really depends on the office you meet with. But you'll probably figure out within the first 5 minutes or so of being in an office if you're going to be the one doing a lot of talking or if it's going to be more of a dialogue.
And I see Crystal made a good point. This may be obvious, but homework includes simply knowing the name of your representative and how long they've been in office. And I might also add knowing how to pronounce that representative's name. If it's kind of tough, you don't want to call them out of their name. If you can help it. So knowing who they are, how long they've been in office, because if they're new, totally new to that position, you might have a little bit more of an uphill battle on your visit unless they come into the office with knowledge about HIV and our community.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you so much. Thank you both. This is really good. All right. This is for doing the meeting. During the meeting, what should you do if the staffer asks a question that you don't have to answer, that you don't have an answer to?
Is that me? Or is that
this one's me? Honestly, the first reaction many of us will have is to apologize, to be like, oh, I should know this. What do I say? Do I make something up? Don't make anything up. Don't make educated guesses. What this office has actually done is provide you with an opportunity to follow up with them after the meeting. So all you need to do is be like, oh, that's a wonderful question. I don't know the answer myself, but I can check it out and get back to you later. You've now got, not that you need an excuse, but now you've got a stated excuse to send an email or call that office again with this new information and continue that dialogue. It might feel awkward the first time that it happens, but really it's just another opportunity for you to build that relationship with the office.
Thank you.
Nothing to add. Just being having. Do not try to blow smoke. Do not try, to answer off the cuff. And you don't really know. 'Cause you want to make sure that we are the subject matter experts. And so we want to stay in that vein of being subject matter experts and just saying, I'm not sure about that. Let me get back with you. Is it okay if I do some research or if I check with someone else? And the advantage of having other people in the room with you, maybe someone else in the room may know the answer to that, and they may be able to help bridge that gap of their not knowing. That's why it's always good to have a team and you want some seasoned folks and the new people, because new people, we're being sponges and we're learning until we get to a point to where we can sound and look just like the seasoned one. Like I said, I want to be in the room where Stephen Vargas is, because it seems like him, Dina, Vanita, even Marnina, now they can like answer stuff on the, really? I didn't know that. So they can answer those questions. They can field those questions. I'm be sitting there like a bump on the log going, I don't know. So I'm gonna be the one saying, I'm not sure. I'll get back with you on that.
Okay. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. That was wonderful. Next one. Next slide.
Beautiful. Before we actually go to the next question, this one is on me. We were supposed to launch a poll at the beginning of this session to see who's in the room, and I didn't launch that poll. So I'm going to step in and launch one. We
Okay.
want to hear from y'all about who has been in a meeting with a lawmaker before. Have you been in a bunch of meetings? It feels really easy for you and you kind of know what to expect. Have you been in maybe a handful, maybe just one? No, but you want to do that. That's something that you're growing towards. Or you know what? No, and I don't think I want to is a legitimate answer as well. We all have our lane. So we'd love to hear from y'all about who's in the room and what experience y'all have in having meetings with lawmakers. And I will say, I think if you're here, the how to conduct effective meetings with lawmakers, I'm really glad to see that no one has chosen no, and I don't think I want to. That really makes my heart sing. Thank you all.
Okay. While we're wrapping that up, the next question is after the meeting. So, what are your tips for following up after a meeting? And who is this next slide for? Let me see. It looks like you, Drew, maybe?
I think it's Angela.
Okay. All right.
And following up after the meeting, Tana started us with this, I think, back in the day for our first strike force meetings. She went and we got some, I think Vanita told us, we got some thank you cards, real thank you cards. And after we would have our visit, we would all everybody in the group would sign it and put it, in their little thing in their office. If you don't have the ability to do that, make sure that you do some sort of, if it's not a thank you card, a letter or something, maybe 24 to 48 hours after your visit. I can't see the slide, so I don't know what my own slide says. I'm going off the top, but this is your opportunity when you do that. If you promise them to get back with something else, this is your opportunity, because your letter can say, oh, thank you so much. It was great talking with you. And oh, by the way, the answer to your question is, if you didn't have fact sheets or any kind of material to leave, or if you want to, overkill is okay. Include it again to remind you, this is what we stand for. This is what we're looking for. XYZ. And I don't know if that's all my
I,
bullet
I
points
think
or
I
not.
think you hit that on the head, Angela. I was spot on. That was spot on. All right. So the next slide should be Drew. Is that you coming up?
I believe that is me coming up, and I think Angela touched on a lot of what I was going to share as well. But the one thing I would, maybe want to add is a lot of times it can be really helpful to talk to folks about the meeting who are in your community, who are advocates, but who aren't able to come. I would say a good chunk of my work with AIDS United is literally taking things that I've heard on other meetings, whether it's with members of Congress or with other advocates, and then just relaying that information to a different group of folks, whether it's via email, whether it's in a meeting. I mean, it might feel like you're playing telephone, but it's really important work to be able to share what you've learned in your discussion with members, with folks who aren't able to be there, because that's how we are able to really mobilize and create change. So if you have meetings that you think had any sort of utility for folks within your local chapter, PWN, or you think someone might benefit from hearing, by all means, reach out to them and share it with them, because they might be able to take action where you weren't able to, or they're able to support you as you reach back out to them for a further meeting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. All right, now here we go with after the meeting. So after the meeting, how should advocates take care after a tough meeting on the Hill? Okay.
Is that me?
That one's me, and I didn't know we'd have Miss Wanda on the call, but I've used that slide with you in it a fair number of times, so hopefully you're at least getting burning ears when I use it. But this is a really tough one, honestly. Like, I think the biggest thing for me is being able to not feel like you're holding on to something by yourself. And that might mean sharing with other advocates, or it might mean blocking away time to do something as a reward, or just to unwind. But I think that the hardest part can be when we carry either anger or discomfort or frustration off of the Hill and don't have anywhere to put it, and it just kind of sits and festers inside of us. So I think part of any solid process for conducting a Hill Day should involve a debrief at the end to talk about what was learned, but also to provide an opportunity for folks to share if they had an experience that was frustrating or hurtful, and not keep that inside. But there's a lot of this difficulty that's kind of unavoidable in this type of work, particularly in the current political environment. So accounting for that going into it, knowing your boundaries, and trying to take care to do something nice for yourself when it's all over.
Okay. Thank you. Next slide.
That would be me. You can be both a powerful advocate and a human being who needs care. And taking care of yourself is part of sustaining that moment. You want to allow time to pause and decompress. Drew said it, debrief. And whatever went on, if it was a tough meeting, if we had to go and speak to someone that disagrees with us or that's on the other side of the aisle, don't take what the person said. Don't take anything personally. We're dealing with systems and politics, not that one person. And do something that restores you. Do something, you know, woosah, take a bubble bath, listen to some music, a good meal, get away to yourself, or go hang out with friends. It's whatever you need to help you reset. But you've got to take that moment to just kind of sit in what happened, and let yourself kind of come down from that, especially if it was a hill day. Those of you who have gone to AIDS Watch, you know, the day that we do the visits, the pep rally, all of that is rush, rush, rush. Then you're rushing trying to catch your plane and all of that. So just woosah. That's the biggest thing that I
Thank
think.
you.
Woosah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Angela. Next slide, please. All right, here we go. Now, if y'all wrote any questions down, here is the time. Now, Kelly, I will probably need some assistance because I can't see. Okay, I see a hand.
Okay.
So I see, okay, Denise, let's see what Denise has.
And while Denise is asking her question, I'm going to show us the results. Just so y'all know, a lot of people
Wow.
in this call have had many, many meetings. Some people have had a couple meetings. Some people have had just one. And there's a couple of folks who said no, but I want to. So looking forward to seeing you on the Hill at AIDS Watch or on your state advocacy day.
Thank you, Kelly, for those results. Denise?
Yeah, so this was an excellent training. The questions that I might have had were answered. I have to say that I'm glad for the last couple of slides on how you can care for yourself. I did AIDS Watch for the first time last year, and it was a little hectic for me only because we were all together on the bus and we were told to go to the church and put our luggage away. And as soon as I went into the church and put my luggage away, when I came back out, everybody had scattered. There was nobody there. I didn't know which way to go. And I just kind of moved forward, because in church you say, keep moving forward. So I moved forward. I couldn't find a rally. I finally found someone that led me to the rally. And from that point, I latched on to Melanie Reese, who is the state lead for Maryland. And my day got 100% better because she kept us all together. She modeled the behavior as we went into the visits, how she made us feel confident around what we needed to say. And she made sure that everybody got to speak. And when we were tired, or because my bunions started hurting after a while, because we did everything. But at the end, she made sure that I got safely in a cab to go home. And I think that's the sign of a true leader. She knew the people she was talking to. She knew the work. And I've done other hill visits with like seniors before. And the key to the whole thing is staying together, because especially for people that never did it before. So thank you for this training. It's excellent.
Thank you, Denise. Jeanette, I see your hand.
Yes, it was a question that I saw on a when Drew was speaking about, if you don't know something, you don't that you can ask your colleagues, right? If you can ask your say I don't know right offhand, but I can ask my colleague, and they will get back to you when they're asking you a question that you don't know.
Drew, can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, that's an excellent way to approach that, and you'll often be in a meeting with other advocates where maybe one of the other advocates in the room knows it. It's important to remember that you don't need to, and especially if you're newer, you don't need to be carrying this meeting by yourself. If you don't know something and no one else chimes in, then that would probably be the time to say, hey, I don't know that any of us have the direct answer to that question, but I will check in with someone who does and get back to you later. I think that the biggest thing that I would stress is, and Angela did as well, is just to be upfront with what you do and do not know, and not feel like you have to create something out of thin air just because the person asked you a question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Are there any more questions? Wait a minute, I see a hand. Oh, I see Kelly.
I'm actually going to pass it to Mentor King Terrence, and I'll go after you, my friend.
Thanks, Kelly. Hey everybody. I just want to thank y'all for this Zoom meeting and a lot of information I did hear. Then I missed some things because I was late getting on. But I wanted to ask the question about you're talking about doing your homework as far as like knowing who your representatives are, who you're going to speak to. Um, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and my question is where would I find the information to find out who is my state representatives, and I know they break it down into different like districts and whatnot. So where would one go to find that information?
Angela, can you follow up with that, please?
For us here in Texas, and I don't know if it's everywhere, but there's a website, vote, what is it, vote.gov, the, yeah, USA.gov elected officials. Or you can Google who are my elected officials
Yep.
and your zip code.
Yep.
I'm 77090, and I can go out there and Google. Google is our friend. But
Yes.
I see people are dropping things in the chat. So there are ways for you. I know for us, I use ballot. What is it? Ballotpedia. Um. Oh, thank you, Drew. Go ahead.
Yeah, most.
Oh, somebody said, see who sends you way too much junk mail. That's how you know. So anybody else
Yeah.
with those, yeah, Google and those other things that are being dropped in the chat. I know for us it's something.gov. I'm
And
supposed to
Wanda,
be
I
your
see your hand.
expert.
Wanda?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I'm enjoying the laughter. And I think it was very interesting that Drew showed my picture and it was about taking care of yourself because I put in the comments this before I saw the picture, I put debrief, which is very important for us to do with each other at the end of the day, over dinner, or on a bus ride back, what have you. But another key point is, too, as Drew or Angela said, I don't remember which one. By and large, any office that you go to, you will be speaking with probably their main staffer, and we may or may not know who they are. We may or may not have met with them before, but get business cards. You want the business card of the staffer, and you want the business card of the representative that you're there to see. And if you have business cards, um, leave that. And you typically will have a one pager from the caucus that you're going to leave in each and every office that will talk about the main things that we want addressed. Um, but that's in a normal political climate. We're not in it right now. But let us not be afraid because we are the boss of them. I'm just saying.
Thank you, Wanda.
Drew, do y'all still do they still do do they still do the fact sheets at AIDS Watch? Because those fact sheets, to me, I used those years after my visit to AIDS Watch. It had a whole bunch of information, facts and numbers and percentages and stats that I found very, very helpful when I was going to see my local legislator or when I was doing other things in the community, because a lot of times people want to know the numbers. They want to know what we're talking about. And those fact sheets, I could pull information from them. Those came in really, really handy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wanda's your hand up again?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in years past, the HIV caucus, have been the ones that worked in hand with AIDS United to create those fact sheets, that the one pagers, as we call them, that you take with you. And when you get them, Don't just leave them in your bag, the wonderful bags that AIDS United gives us. Pull it out, and as a group, I suggest reading them together, because somebody's going to have more knowledge about one or the other subjects on the fact sheet.
True. Thank you.
Sorry, Drew.
I have one more question for our panelists. Okay. I'm hoping that this makes sense. Sometimes you go and you visit an office and you have done your best, right? You have tied your story to your advocacy ask, you've answered questions, you've had a conversation with the staffer, and then that representative or that senator still votes in a way that you don't like. They voted for a piece of legislation you hate, they voted against a piece of legislation you love. So I guess my question is like, are there ways that you can see wins or successes in meetings outside of just the way that that lawmaker votes? Like, are there smaller incremental wins that we can talk about that help us build towards finding alignment with our lawmakers?
Barb Cardell taught me a very valuable lesson. Roxy and I, when we got our first grant years and years ago, we had a whole laundry list of things that we wanted to do, or we thought we wanted to do, we wanted to accomplish. And maybe only one or two of those things were accomplished. Barb taught us celebrate the small wins. Just the small wins. The mere fact that you were able to get in front of that person to talk to them, that's a win, because maybe there may have been a time when they weren't even talking to anybody. They wouldn't even see you. So celebrate the small wins, even though there were poo-poo heads and they voted in an opposite way. Just the fact that I got an opportunity to talk to you, and you're going to send them a thank you card too. Just thank you for speaking with me about my issue. It's another time for you to remind them again. Just don't let the fact that they voted the way that they did, don't let that hit you or bring you down. It's a race. It's not it's what is it? It's a marathon, not a race.
Not a race.
Small
Yeah.
wins, small victories.
Thank you. Do we have
Drew,
any more
I'll let you.
questions?
Drew.
Drew?
So I'm going to tell a few tales out of school for a second, but one of the worst meetings I've ever had on Capitol Hill was with a staffer who I don't believe there's anymore, with Senator Sidney Hyde Smith's office from the fine state of Mississippi. She's on the Senate Labor, Health, and Human Services Appropriations Subcommittee, and staffer was rude, didn't really pay attention, didn't take notes, felt horrible about it, and you leave feeling like, why did I do that? Like, what is the point in all this? But we still meet with her staff every time we have folks from Mississippi in, and when we can, because she's on an important committee, and because Mississippi is, at the heart of the HIV epidemic in the U.S. And, I guess it was maybe earlier this year, I was talking with a colleague of mine who had just got done ensuring that someone living with HIV in the state of Mississippi got housing when they needed it, because they'd formed a relationship with that office. And for some reason, this particular issue at the state level back in Mississippi resonated with the congresswoman. She reached out to folks at the state level, made sure it got done, and that person ended up getting access to the housing they needed. That's not going to show up in any official vote. I all but guarantee if there's a vote that we care about on the Hill, Cindy Hyde Smith is going to vote the other way. But that relationship and the fact that people living with HIV and the community have been meeting with that office over and over and over again eventually is going to pay dividends in some way. And it might be support for someone individually at the state level. It might be, them behind the scenes reaching out to the Trump administration to say, hey, if you do this horrible thing, it's going to impact this red state too, so don't do it. it's not going to show up in a vote, but because of your advocacy and because they're aware of these issues, those things got addressed. So even with offices where you leave feeling like, God, that was a horrible meeting, you're still setting the groundwork for something maybe to happen later. So I would always look to see the small victories as Angela and Barb said.
Thank you. Okay. Kelly, do we have any more questions?
We have one
I
more
see a question for Cecilia. Are you seeing the one for Cecilia, Kelly?
I will read the one from Cecilia once I find it, but while we're waiting, Katrina has a question, and then we'll go Cecilia, and then I think we'll probably be at time to wrap up.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Okay.
Katrina, you are on mute if you are talking, but I do see your hand.
I see Drew and Wanda look like they have those answers, though.
It does.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask in reference to preparation, is there any way that you can find out how your representative voted in the past on issues?
Yes, it is. I'm gonna let somebody. I'm gonna mirror what I've been saying. I'm gonna let somebody more experienced with that let answer that, because for the rapid response team here in Texas, our team, they have to do that kind of research. I haven't been on the rapid response team for the last couple of seasons, so they may have changed where they go, what they do, but either Drew or Kelly, uh, but yes, there is a way to look to see how they voted, what their voting history has been on particular things.
Okay. Thank you.
You're right, Denise. Google does work. Yes, it does. It'll take you to a link in Louisiana. We have several sites here that we can go and see how each representative voted on any particular issue. So there is a way, but I'm telling you, ask Google. Because it's the different website, I'm sure, for each state.
For
And
each state.
yes. So my state might not look like yours, nor does Angela's. But there is a way where you can see how your representative, your Congress, or your senator, you can see how everybody voted, what committees they sit on. All of that is readily available because, as like somebody said, they do work for us. They do work for us. Is there anything else other than, if not, wait a minute. We had another question, didn't we?
We did, but it looked like some people took care of it. Cecilia wanted to know, what if you're the only person in your area that is going to speak? And a couple of people said team up with someone from another area.
Okay.
And so we got the answer. And I see Cecilia said Ballotpedia, which
Ballotpedia,
is
yeah, to
what,
look up
yeah.
information. Yeah.
You can see past bills, you
Yeah.
can see past ledge sessions, what things happened during past ledge sessions, and you can see what your representative, how they voted in the past. You can see what committees they sit on. Ballotpedia is a good, yeah. Thanks, Cecilia.
Thanks, everyone. See that? Teamwork, make a dream work.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. This is something that you both have already kind of touched on, but I just want to explicitly ask it. When you two are getting ready for a visit with a decision maker, how does your strategy on how you get ready or what you focus on change when you know you're meeting with a decision maker or lawmaker that is opposed to your legislative ask? So you already know this person will likely not vote the way that you want them to. But Drew, like you said, you want to build these relationships. What's kind of the strategy for folks going into a meeting where they already know that likely they are not going to get their ask? How else can they be strategic about it?
Drew?
So these kind of end up being fishing expeditions. So you go into this meeting, right? Like if I'm from Louisiana and I'm going into a meeting with Speaker Johnson, I know this man is likely not going to vote for anything that I care about. But there might be an area of intersection that we can work on. And part of the role of the advocate in the situation is determining where that overlap exists and if anything is possible. So I think this is even more applicable at the state and local level, especially if you live in a state where there's a Republican supermajority, where Republicans control, your House, your Senate, your governor's office. You're going to need to lean on Republicans to get legislation passed. So part of your job is figuring out, okay, I have a meeting with somebody who's the head of some health committee in my state, right? Where's the area that if I talk about it, they get interested? Does this person have a history with substance use disorder? Do they have someone in recovery in their family? Does this person know someone who's lived with HIV? Does this person have a close tie with the hospital association, or are they big on hepatitis and oncology? Like there are ways that you can hopefully suss out if there's something where you can work together. In the event that you're not able to find anything, sometimes it's just not worth meeting with that particular office. And sometimes it's just about figuring out if you can find information from them that might be useful as you go forward. So oftentimes, the old adage is best to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. If you have a meeting with somebody and can figure out, hey, this is sort of what they're planning to do, or this is the area that they're really focused on, and that we as a community need to work hard to protect, that can be a useful outcome for a meeting. I think particularly about, like harm reduction work. A lot of offices are going to be really opposed to anything related to, actual evidence-based drug user health. But if I'm meeting with somebody who I know is opposed to syringe service programs, and I could really get a sense of like, oh, these people are fixated on overdose prevention centers right now. They are really like gearing up to try and fight this. I can leave that meeting with a sense of, oh, okay, this is what I need to talk to my allies about and prepare. Like there's going to be some legislation coming down the line trying to ban this, or this is what they're going to be trying to fearmonger in the media. So even if it's a meeting with a legislator that isn't going to vote your way, sometimes you can still get useful information out of them.
Okay.
That's where your homework comes in. You've got to almost become a detective or partner yourself with those seasoned people that know how to get around a lot of this, but you also try to find common ground with that person. Do they have children? And you're a parent. Try to find common ground to open that conversation to be, oh, well, Representative such and such, I see you've got a 12-year-old and your 12-year-old likes pickleball. Something to kind of level the playing field so that you can get on an even keel with them, and then go the next step with, well, as a person living with HIV, this is what I found out on the pickleball field, or something like that. Or like what Drew was saying, if you've tried all of that and it looks like they're not going to bend, I just always treat it as an educational opportunity, because I'm going in to tell them about us. We're the subject matter experts, but if it looks like there's no way, you don't want to put yourself in line for any hurt or harm or anything, but at any way possible, try to level that playing field as much as possible.
Thank you.
And
Wa-
I think we actually have one comment, a question from Tyra in the comment.
okay.
Tyra asks, do you have to have a specific bill to request a meeting with the legislature?
Nope.
Nope. You can just request a meeting because you want to meet them. You might need them down the line somewhere.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was saying. I didn't know that me as just as a constituent, I could go and talk to them just to say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm one of your constituents in precinct whatever in jurisdiction what," and that's where storytelling can come in. If you are brave enough, you share your story and just let them know. I just want to let you know that we're here. I know for us with the strike force, we send an introductory letter to every legislator here in Texas. I think it's 180 something. We send an introductory letter letting them know we are the Texas Strike Force. We're comprised of the Houston and DFW chapters. We voted most of us. We are your constituents. We've got over 200 members. We're watching you. And if you're not doing what is best suits for us, we voted you in and we can vote you out. Holla. So
Meta, I think Wanda's hand is up, and then we have a closing question from Crystal in the chat.
Um, the bottom line is all of these folks that are sitting in an office up there, they're actually our employees. Whether they remember it or not, they work for us. And when we go into an office that we know is not favorable to our causes, um, I think it's good to go ahead and go in because you can talk to a staffer anyway, and go ahead and own up. Say I know that we don't agree on the majority of everything that there is under the sun, but I still wanted to come in and introduce myself, tell you who I am, why I'm here, and why it's important that you should be paying attention to what's going on with myself. And I don't know how many number of constituents back at home the same issues are going on with. And, you know, just be honest with them, forthcoming. Because bottom line, they do work for us. And I'm hoping I get to go into Tom Tillis's office this year. He's not running again. And by and large, he's a Republican, and by and large, he's not really done much of anything for persons living with HIV. But he did vote against the big, ugly bill.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, we have a closing question in the chat from Crystal, correct?
Correct, Meta. Crystal asks, how do you all navigate a legislative meeting when your planning partners tokenize people living with HIV or don't put them in the center of the conversation?
we put ourselves in the conversation. No matter how much they exclude us, we need to figure out a way that when we're getting together to figure out how we're going to go to this visit, because you should, as much as possible, have a planning meeting about your strategy, about what you're planning on doing, who's going to say what. Make sure one of the people that's talking, or at least if possible, every person brings it back to, I'm here because I am a woman living with HIV. I am a woman of color. I am you put it in the conversation. Even though they're going to do what they're going to do, they're going to say what they're going to say. You make sure you are clear on why you're in that room. And at the end of the day, when everybody's gone home, you want to be the lasting person that says, I want this. I'm here because. So, and you put your paperwork in their hand as well. Drew, I'll let you.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think what I would raise as someone who's kind of looking from the outside in is someone who works for a large national HIV organization and who is a cisgender, heterosexual, HIV negative man. I would simply one of like my question would be sort of if you can view the person or the planning partners as being acting in good faith, or if you don't think there's room for dialogue, right? So, like, I think if you are meeting with planning partners who you've raised this with before or who you think are deliberately tokenizing you, then I think part of it is asking yourself how worthwhile is it for you to continue to operate with these folks who are saying they're your friends and your partners, but who aren't acting like it, versus working with folks that you know you're genuinely in community with and can feel comfortable around. But if they are doing something that you feel is tokenizing or isn't centering them in the conversation and you feel they're helpful, by all means, if you're comfortable, tell them about it because hopefully that can help that planning partner or organization change the way that they do things so that they are centering people living with HIV and not, taking steps to make people feel tokenized. So I think it's variable, but ultimately it's up to how you feel and what you're comfortable with, and if the planning partners you're working with are amenable to feedback and change.
Thank you so much. I think the next thing we have is our call to closing thoughts. I think we just had those. However, with that being said, I'd like to ask just one question for a closing thought to the presenters. So, as advocates in today's political climate, what's the best thing we can do collectively?
What we've all been doing collectively with this big ugly bill. We all banded together, one band, one sound. So collectively sending a letter, collectively make sure you show up. AIDS Watch is coming up. That's a collective thing that everybody that's going to be able to go. That's that one band, one sound. Whatever it is that y'all are going to go and speak to your legislators about as a group, you're going to be there. Make sure you're there. Wanda, you're right. Show up. Right.
Thank y'all so much. Drew?
I would just say I think it it can be important to remember that showing up looks different for different people. And there's not one way to be supportive of your community and to create change, right? If you're someone who finds out that going and telling your story on the Hill is exhausting for you, is not really your jam, that doesn't have to be the end all be all of your advocacy. You can still phone bank. You can still organize within your community. You can still go out and register folks to vote. You can, do the hard work of talking with your family members and friends about these issues that matter. There are so many ways for us to be impactful. The visits on the Hill, the visits with your members of your state legislature are one part of that. And so while this is extremely important, the things that many of you are already doing as a matter of just living your life and living your values are just as, if not more important. So, if you feel new at this, if it doesn't feel natural, that's totally okay. And you can keep pushing at it and try and get better, or you can really double down on the things that provide you with joy and that you feel like are really giving back to community. There's not really a wrong answer when it comes to showing up for your people.
Thank you
And
so much.
remember, there's more ways to be an advocate. It's not always being loud and proud, being out front, uh, carrying the signs. Or there are quiet ways. Write a letter, So make a phone call. Somebody said one time, be supportive to your group of advocates that are out there on the front line. That's how you can, that's another way to show up. Bake some cookies or pick somebody up from the airport if they're going somewhere, if you have the ability to do it. Make some donations or something, sponsor someone. There's a lot of different ways. Advocacy doesn't look just one way. There are different ways to be an advocate, to be in the fight without actually being front and center. Right, provide water bottles. There are a lot of ways. You don't have to be front and center. Everybody that knows me knows I was behind the scenes. Every time you saw a picture of our group here in Houston, the person that had something up in front of their face, that was me. And now look at me. But I was still there. I was still doing things. I was still making sure that I was keeping close to the fire. And it's baby steps. It's a matter of what you can do and what you feel comfortable doing when you feel comfortable doing it and still being involved and engaged.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Myra is going to bring us our call to action. Myra?
Well, hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, here in the great state of Alabama, we are going to be having our Advocacy Day. PWN Alabama, along with the Alabama HIV and AIDS Policy Partnership, will be going to Montgomery, Alabama, and we're going to have little sessions to prepare to meet with the lawmakers for those to get those who have never been to feel more comfortable in doing so. And we're going to meet with our legislators. That one of the things I know that I'm going to talk about is healthcare. Healthcare in Alabama is real sucky, and there are a couple of bills which we will be addressing. And also, PWN Alabama, we are going to create a coalition in Alabama of people living with HIV and people that value the meaningful involvement of people who are living with HIV. So this call to action is to ask people to sign up and coalition and partnership with PWN Alabama. And I'm also asking people to continue supporting events and creating events to increase HIV awareness and have people with lived experience to create and implement these events and experience the true meaning of MIPA, meaningful involvement of people living with HIV.
Thank you so much, Myra. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is
Thank
our
you.
next policy, storytelling, and it is on March 12th. And these are our series of training. There is a barcode, what you call that, a scan code. Do your thing do your thing. And before we end, before I
QR code.
Yeah, that's what it is. Good looking out, Myra. I want to say thank you to the presenters that showed up and showed out. Thank y'all so much for coming. Thank y'all for participating. Thank you for your time, for everything. It was an amazing opportunity.
I'm sorry, can you put that QR code back up? I didn't get a chance to get it.
All right. Helena, can you give me that QR code slide again, please? There you go, ma'am.
I got it. Thank you.
All right. No, thank you. We are really, really excited about this webinar. It was absolutely amazing. I enjoyed it, and I hope you all did too as well. y'all know what the call to action is. Y'all have heard about Alabama, and they about to do some things. So please support them any kind of way that you can. Please do.
Yes,
Now,
please reach out to us and we can get you involved.
exactly. Now,
I'm right
Kelly
there with you.
and Helena, y'all have any last thoughts?
No, Kelly had to jump, but
that's
thanks
right.
everyone for coming. We really appreciate it. This was a really fruitful conversation. We hope that you can implement some of this in your AIDS Watch lobbying day or state lobbying day, or anytime that you prepare to meet with lawmakers. And always remember, there's different ways to do advocacy. So if that's not your thing, there's other ways that you can help out in the movement.
Exactly.
So appreciate y'all. Take care.
And thank y'all so much for being here.
Bye.
All
We
right.
need to do this more often because I enjoy these trainings.